Hey, what's up, everyone? Few very important things to talk about today. Try and get through this as quickly and clearly as I can. But first, a message from our sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. I wish maybe someday, huh? Maybe someday. Anyway, so let's get serious here, okay? Well, we don't have to be serious. This stuff doesn't have to be taken seriously. It can, but look, at the end of the day, I think one of the biggest issues anyone out there who's suffering might have is maybe taking things a bit too seriously. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking life seriously. I think that ultimately, even comedians kind of are wearing this front, they're putting on a brave face, trying to keep everything lighthearted, trying to keep the humor and everything. But at the end of the day, we all know that you know, life is what we make of it, and life is not easy. It's pretty much as time goes on, the older we get, the challenges can get more difficult. Basically, we're absorbing more stuff, more information. We're meeting more people. We're learning more things. We're hearing more conversations. We're seeing. I mean, it's just our brain is constantly absorbing, like a hard drive of a computer, and it's important to clear clutter out. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I give every one of my coaching clients is start to let go of things that you don't need. So whether it's clothes that you're not wearing anymore, or furniture, or stuff, or things that you don't need, try to just get rid of as many things as possible, and declutter your life, because the less things you have in your physical world, everything that you kind of have in your physical world, it also takes up some space in your mind, because you have that knowledge of that thing that you own, that is there, that is waiting to be used, that needs to be organized or whatever. Yeah, so it's just taking up some room. So get rid of things. Have that courage, to let go and just throw things away. I like to do piles of yes, basically keep it, no, which is get rid of it, and maybe, which is, come back to it later, and, you know, but the maybe pile needs to also, you need to be strong with it and empty it. But in today's video, sponsored by AVN, we're going to talk about one of the main reasons we have problems with relationships and we suffer so much as a result of relationships and other things too, but in this video I'm going to focus it on relationships. And the reason is, and I know that you've heard this before, but sometimes it doesn't sink in until it one day sinks in. And then you actually understand this and realize it from the inside out, which is most of us, if not all of us, have this expectation within us, this feeling, this sense, this image sometimes of what our ideal match, person of our dreams looks and sounds like. So we have this image, and this image may have been constructed by people we've seen in movies or heard of, or anybody. We can create this image from all the people we've ever met, or all the people that we've ever observed or seen. Like I said, it can be even from cartoons and stuff. You know, I had a huge crush when I was like, I don't know, younger. How old was I? 10 or 9, when, on The Little Mermaid. So, cartoons even. Man, I got scratched today in jiu-jitsu. Anyway, so what happens over time is we start to create this fantasy image of our of the love of our life and what they look like. Actually, a lot of that can come from ourselves too, things we like about ourselves that we want to see in someone else. It can also come from our parents, things that we like in our father or our mother. Usually, daughters look for things that remind them of their father in other guys. Even if their father wasn't a good guy, they will sometimes be drawn to those things in men. And with men, it can be that you can be drawn towards things you see in another person that remind you of your mom, or other people you look up to and like things about. Or it could work the opposite way, that um, you're going to be sort of turned off by someone because they remind you of your mother, or if you're a girl, you'll be turned off by someone because they remind you of your father. So we create this image, we create this model of our ideal match. And basically what we do when we do that is we close ourselves off to maybe 99.8% of people out there. And we will never consider them as a serious relationship because we have this thing in our mind of who we're looking for. And who's to say that that model that we've created is really what's best for us? Maybe it's just what we want. Maybe it's what it's kind of like you want candy, you want salty French fries, you want chips, you want cake, but you want donuts, but is that stuff really what you need? Is that going to take care of you and be good for you? As always, balance is key, right? So you want a little bit of that attraction, that deliciousness, but it also needs to be fulfilling and healthy and good for you. So it can be a delicious, healthy dessert, and those things exist. I've had them. So yeah, so we suffer because we have this expectation of this person, and then perhaps someday we will meet someone who is close to that model. Because, I don't think we're ever going to meet that model that's in our mind. It's a figment of our imagination. But we'll meet people who come close to it or remind us of that model, perhaps. Or along our life journey, we'll meet someone that doesn't really fit in with the model, but we like, and then we use that person and add them to our model. So we use that person as material, mental material, to mold our model even more, and that person basically becomes a part of our new evolved model of our ideal person. Okay, but look, I don't want to get too complicated and deep with this. Basically, the gist of it is that if you have this thing in your mind of what you want and what you're looking for, then everything else is going to kind of like never reach up to that expectation. And I'm sure we've all heard, some of us maybe have heard it. I've heard this a lot on my journey that, when one of the reasons we have problems in relationships or with people or whatever is people will never measure up to our expectations. Okay, so we're always be disappointed. And it's not just people, everything. And if you're always going to have all these expectations, of how things should be, or how people should behave, or how people should treat you, or how people should treat themselves, if you're always going to have these expectations, then it's going to be a lot of disappointment constantly. Where we ideally need to be is more towards being open to reality, accepting reality, and kind of going more with the flow. I don't mean you have to kind of put your head down and be a slave and just suck on whatever life is going to throw at you. No, you've got to keep, again, the balance is important, the balance of your expectations and what is reality in the real world. It's very important to have that balance. So, I was just, was I in the gym today or on the way to the gym today? And I just thought, um, for me personally, I have suffered this because I've this set vision of my ideal girl, and if I meet anyone else that isn't in that sort of comes close to that model, then I quickly will sort of like I guess make a judgment and be like, oh well, this person is not going to be the one, for me. Okay, which is not it's not the ideal way to be going forward, and I think a lot of us do this subconsciously. This is why so many people are just interested in sex or hooking up or short relationships when they feel like, okay, this is not going to go anywhere. This is not what I want. And yeah, like I said, it's okay to have goals. It's okay to know what you want. It's actually pretty admirable. I admire and I look up to people who know what they want. But it's all about keeping it in check. And it's all about keeping that balance. And remember, what you're keeping it in balance with is accepting what the real world is going to give you. Okay? You might meet that person who looks like the model in your mind, but the personality is just not there at all. But then you'll try to like make it work because this person looks similar to your ideal view. And that's no reason to like be getting a long-term relationship with. You have to quickly realize that this is, you're just basing something off of looks, yeah. But it also works with personality too. If you have expectations of like what your ideal partner should be like, behave like, treat you, I mean, are you ever going to meet this person? It could happen. That person for sure exists out there, and I do believe that, and I have learned this through myself, my own life experiences. I've said this in another video that there isn't just one person out there for you. There's hundreds and thousands. In fact, I think my brother is the one who mentioned this to me years ago, which stuck with me, and it's very true because you've got to just focus on what you can control. And what you can control is your body, your mind, and your emotions, spirit, whatever. That's all part of your mind, I think. So your body, mind, and your spirit, let's say, are totally under control because you get to put your body, mind, and spirit, you get to subject those things to whatever you want. You have free will. You can move here, you can move to another city, you can move to another town, you can be selective of who you spend time with, where you go, what you eat, what activities do you do. And that's basically the way to navigate through life, to focus on those things, to focus on the things that you can control. And rather than focusing on your goals of like, or your wants, like this is what I want money, I want a girl, I want a relationship, I want, car, rather than focusing on those things, you know, you wind up, when you do that, you give away your attention and power and you start worshiping and you make those things more important than you. And you'll always be chasing them because they will always be better than you, always be more powerful than you. You're going to put yourself here and they're all the way up here. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to focus on being your best. And I know maybe it's not what you want to hear, or maybe you've heard it before a lot from other people, but that is that's the key. Like if you're into or you have any knowledge of laws of attraction is not about I want to be the world champion in boxing. Laws of attraction is I am the world champion in boxing. Okay, that's how it works. And a lot of people have a lot of difficulty with making laws of attraction work because they think it's about, imagining that you have a lot of money to become rich or imagining the person that you're with. Yeah, partly it is, if you want to be rich, you've got to be every day imagining, but it's more than imagining, it's about expecting, it's about knowing that you're rich, knowing that you're a millionaire, and almost to the point where you look around, you're like, where's my Ferrari, man? Why isn't it here? Like, my Ferrari needs to be here, And when you have that mental attitude, you're basically just going to get it done. You're going to get what needs to be done for your Ferrari to be here. And hopefully that doesn't mean robbing a bank. Hopefully it means more getting product placement. All right, I'll stop being silly with the whole product placement thing. But yeah, I think excuse me, I just had a training session and I've never trained in such a hot environment. I've trained in Temecula in the middle of the desert. My first gym had no AC. It was brutally hot. You couldn't breathe. It was like a sauna. And I thought it would never get worse than that. And then I moved to Thailand. Well, it wasn't too bad. Temecula was still much hotter. And then I moved to Bali, and I think Bali was a bit hotter because it's the humidity, so you just are soaked. And I thought it was never going to get worse than Bali, and of course, now today was the hottest I've ever experienced ever. In like maybe 6 years of training, really, really hot. It just sucks the spirit out of you, as our coach said today. But yeah, so expectations, are important to be aware of, at least, because when you become aware that you've got such crazy expectations, then at least you'll know, hey, maybe this is why I'm suffering. Maybe this is why I'm depressed. Maybe this is why I'm just not happy in life. Because the expectations that I have in my mind of what I need to be happy are just, maybe a bit unrealistic, I mean, it's good to have those high standards, I think. That's what keeps us driving forward. But, there's no such thing as perfection. We have to remember that. We have to keep telling ourselves that, look, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to meet someone perfect. You're just not. You're not perfect, right? We're not perfect. So the only perfection that exists is acceptance, the ability to accept, that things aren't perfect. So I would say that is ultimately perfection, the ability to accept. That's what love is, right? True love is acceptance. But again, balance. You don't want to just be like accepting everything and anything that life throws at you. No, you've got to like kind of have those standards, have those goals, but maybe keep your expectations in check. Like remember that simple person, the person that has a simpler life, is going to be happier. The one who wants more is always going to be suffering. All right, and I'm going to wrap this up with the reason for why most of the people most of us suffer so much in breakups is, because we have these expectations and, we're basically incapable of getting what we want. And when we can't have something, we want it more. It's kind of like the sneaky, I guess, science behind no contact. I guess the best way to explain it is it's one of the sneaky side effects of the no contact rule is that you're going to become more attractive to whoever you've cut contact with because they're not going to be able to have you. They're not going to be able to contact you, and you will want more what you can't have. Now let me give you one final example to wrap this video up. I'm coaching someone at the moment. I started working with this person recently who's actually the dumper. So he dumped, I don't want to give too much information there, but he dumped his ex. But then his ex got with someone else, and then he wants her back all of a sudden. Okay, now this is extremely normal, it's extremely common, but it also shines a spotlight onto the real true reason for why we are hurt and empty and suffer after a breakup. It's more about our pride and our ego that's being punched than true love. It's not that, yes, of course, there's going to be like some love, like you miss the person and you care for the person. There's going to be a cocktail of emotions going on, but one of the big ones that hurts us is just the fact that we feel like we've lost. The fact that we think that our ex is having more fun. The fact that we think that we are the loser, they are the winner, they have won, they are better off, we made a mistake, we're now down here, they're up here. Okay, so this type of thinking is actually so common that I think we all do it, everyone does it, especially during a breakup. And it's basically negative self-talk. Okay, so Google it, look it up, and the way to counter it is with positive self-talk. Okay, so if I say to myself, oh, I'll never be happy again, she, or if you're a girl, he was the love of my life, and I'll never meet anyone like that person again. You have to counter it. You have to stand up for yourself in your own mind. You have to become your own coach. You've got to realize that there's a voice in your head that is beating you down. And that there needs to be a voice in your head too that stands up against that voice. And that voice that stands up is weak in a lot of us. And we need to train it, make it strong. And the way you do it is by just doing it. So when you get that negative voice in your head, or easier to spot the negative voices by when you feel like shit. When you feel like shit, it's always because of negative thoughts. So when you feel like shit, try to spot the thoughts, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I'm thinking, about how much fun she's having with another guy, or I'm thinking of how she doesn't think about me anymore and doesn't miss me. That is when you have to counter that thought with positive thoughts like, all the happiness and love that I ever experienced with that person came from within me. It wasn't that that person brought it into my life. Those feelings, that energy was my love. It was within me, and it was what I brought to the relationship, and I have it now. It's with me. That person's got their own way of loving and being energized and etc. And I have my love, and all I need to be happy and powerful and energized is here within me. It's my love, and that's all I need. And remember, most of the stuff that we tell ourselves is actually false. We will create the most painful stories for ourselves of what our ex is doing with whoever she's doing it with, or you'll see a picture of her and a guy, and then you'll just come up with the most painful story. Or if you're a girl, you'll see a picture of him and a girl, and you'll paint this ridiculous story that you'll just hurt yourself. So no contact is important because it puts you in a protective bubble of not receiving information about them until you get over them, until you heal up enough to be able to withstand getting some information. But it takes time. You have to give yourself at least 6 months, I think. Depends on the term of your relationship, but I think a good 6 months is you'll be healed as long as you're not spending all that time thinking of them, dwelling, and not moving on. Letting go and moving on is not easy, and that's why I recommend that at the beginning of this video, get rid of your clothes, get rid of old clothes, get rid of things, and in a way that if they are a bit more difficult to part with, that's good exercise, okay? Get rid of them. Even go as far as creating distance with people that are not really bringing much power and energy and vitality and happiness to your life. When you see people on your contacts list, go down the list and just the ones that make you feel good and give you a positive energy, those are the ones that you want to keep. The ones that might make you feel like shit for any reason, create distance with them, be respectful, be kind, but create distance. All right, and then if they move closer to you and they're bringing that good energy into your life, then you can reestablish and grow closer. But, what I'm explaining here are things that we should be doing in life always anyway, but in the case of a breakup, it's a great opportunity to make those changes, because sometimes when something hits us in life, we can sort of use it as an excuse or an opportunity to make some changes in life, make some improvements in life. Sometimes, our friends and our family and our coworkers might, make it difficult for us to change. Because if we try to change, they'll be like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting different? Blah, blah," yeah? But if you go through a life challenge or if something hits you, it's a good opportunity for you to be like, okay, well, I'm going to use this opportunity to make some upgrades in the way I live. And people can think what they want, but you can always they can always attribute that, okay, he or she's been through some hardships and is trying to make the most of it, and most people don't realize that through these hardships is how people become more powerful, more passionate, more loving, enjoy life more than ever before. You're not going to lose anything, you're only going to gain more. So it's just about allowing, the pain, like I always say in my videos, allowing the suffering, going through it, just taking one step forward at a time. And when you're faced with that feeling and that experience of now you want to spend some time mourning and thinking of your ex and kind of talking to people about your ex and all this, it's okay. You can process it, do it, but don't bathe in it too long. Don't dwell in it too long, because remember, it's like an intoxicating drug, okay? It's just an interesting, stimulating topic for you that you need to slowly just eject out of your life, okay? And you're going to eject it slowly, and you're going to do it in your own pace, in your own time. But it will happen, just continue to be aware. Be aware, as I said, of your expectations. Try to accept reality a bit more. Remember that having, crazy expectations can create suffering for you, because you're going to be targeting a certain person to be in a relationship with, and maybe after one or two you might notice that, hey, the type of people that I'm attracted to are maybe not the best types of people for me, and then use that as an opportunity to upgrade the model in your mind, the expectation you have of who's going to bring happiness into your life. Think of upgrading that model to someone who's better for you. So yeah, if you're into certain physical attributes, I'm not saying that drop your standards, but add to that now that you're not going to engage with people who maybe don't have kindness, maybe don't have respect, maybe don't have education. Value those things more too. And if you don't see those things, education, kindness, mutual respect, some sort of morality, if you don't see those things, then, this is why in the Bible and the Quran and the Torah, all these religions talk about the evil temptations, Now, it's maybe lost in a lot of translation. People will be like, oh, the demons, and if you do this, you're going to go to hell. Well, think about when these religions were introduced, the education level of the world was very low. So, you needed to kind of shock people, you needed to get through to people, you needed to get them to believe and to listen. in order to help them. All right, because you think people are suffering now. You know, we have so much that's helping us nowadays. Antidepressant. I mean, I'm not going to say they help us, but you know what I mean. Like, there's so many things available to people now. We are way more educated. We have way more stuff. Even just 200 years ago, 300 years ago, life was way harder. And you know, I'm not talking about physical hardship. I'm talking about mental hardship. You know, so thousands of years ago, when these religions were introduced, life was even more harder. There was rape, there was kidnap, there was pedophilia, there was like so much bad shit. There was like murders. So they needed to like bring about, you know, some order and mental, uh, you know, so just mental what healing, right? Mental teachings to help people think in a healthier way. And you know, they would say, you know, hell, heaven, but if you really think about it, hell and heaven, right? If let's say, use me as an example. If I'm going to be attracted to a girl because she's physically gorgeous, physically like perfect for me, and then has a few personality attributes that I find attractive, but really I know that this person is perhaps uneducated or not as educated, or you know, doesn't have respect for herself, or you know, isn't a kind person. You know, those are important because if you engage, you know, in the lust, I guess, or you know, you just want to, you know, be with someone for the wrong reasons, then you know that's the temptation. That's the evil temptation, and then the hell that comes with it is just going to be what you're going to go through emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. You know, when it doesn't work out. So you know, I never tell anyone that religion is bad, and I see that that's like this huge growing trend over the last 20, 30 years of like, you know, people putting down religion, and I understand it. I understand it 100% why, but you know, if anything is keeping your focus on, you know, positive things, love, kindness, mutual respect, education, then I think that it's always going to be good. So I hope this video helps. Think about your expectations a bit more. Think about, you know, are you sort of like comparing your ex or your current relationship partner to this figment of your imagination, and maybe that's why they're always falling short and disappointing you. And if you're going through a loss or a breakup, then think about, um, you know, just focusing on yourself and remember what I was talking about earlier with the laws of attraction of don't chase this person, don't chase, you know, you've got to, law of attraction and manifesting what you want all is about being the champion, you know, that being what you want. All right, and it starts with you working on yourself. And if you want your ex back, you know, if you even want a chance of that, because look, you can't control another person. You can't make another person love you. All you can do is make yourself as attractive as possible. And the main way to do that is to focus on you, what you can control, your health, your diet, your way of thinking, you know, your friends, your environment, and beyond. So I'm going to sign off, and thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And yeah, talk to you guys soon. Cheers.